I remember the exact texture of the leather chair I was sitting in when my father said those words. Burgundy, cracked at the armrests. The same chair where he'd taught me to read financial statements when I was 12. Where we'd celebrated my acceptance to Wharton. Where he'd told me I'd be taking over Martinez and Associates one day. Sophia, he said. And his voice had that CEO flatness to it, the one he used in board meetings, not at Sunday dinners. You're suspended from the company. Effective immediately. Until you apologize to your sister. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Vincent Martinez. 63 years old. Salt and pepper hair slicked back the way it had been since the 90s. Navy suit. Pressed so sharp you could cut yourself on the creases. And his eyes, God. His eyes were so tired. All right, I said. That was it. Just all right. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't slam my fist on his mahogany desk or throw the crystal paperweight he'd received after closing the Hendricks deal in 2019. I just stood up, smoothed down my pencil skirt, and walked out of his corner office with my head high and my heart turning to stone. Behind me, I heard my stepmother, Patricia, exhale in relief. Of course she was relieved. This was exactly what she wanted. Let me back up. My name is Sophia Martinez. And until approximately 47 minutes before that conversation, I was the director of operations at Martinez and Associates, a mid-sized consulting firm my father built from nothing over 30 years. I was 29 years old. I had an MBA from Wharton. I worked 70-hour weeks. I knew every client file, every employee's birthday, every contract renewal date by heart. And then there was Natalie Patricia Martinez, my half-sister. 24 years old, fresh out of some liberal arts college in Vermont where she'd majored in communications and social justice or something equally unmarketable. She had Patricia's blonde hair and blue eyes, my father's last name, and absolutely zero business being anywhere near our company. But 6 months ago, my father hired her as junior marketing coordinator. That's corporate speak for I have no idea what to do with you. But your family. So here's a desk and a salary. At first I tried. I really did. I took her to lunch her first week, showed her how our client database worked, explained the difference between our B2B clients and our municipal contracts. She nodded along, twirling her hair around her finger, checking her phone every 3 minutes. This is like so corporate, she'd said, laughing. Do you ever just feel like you're selling your soul? I'd smiled tightly. No, I feel like I'm building something. Things went downhill from there. Natalie showed up late. Missed deadlines. Spent half her day on Instagram, posting aesthetic flat lays of her iced coffee and her corporate girly outfits. She'd waltz into meetings 15 minutes late, Starbucks in hand, and interrupt presentations with questions that proved she hadn't read the briefing materials. But the worst part, everyone loved her. She was bubbly, charming. She'd laugh at the male partner's jokes and compliment Patricia's outfit choices and talk about her yoga retreats and her rescue dog. She was likable in a way I had never been. I was competent, efficient, respected, but not liked. And my father, he was blind to it all. Completely, willfully blind. Give her time, he'd say whenever I brought up her performance issues. She's adjusting. You were nervous when you first started too. I wasn't nervous. I was 22 and hungry. I learned faster than anyone he'd ever hired. But I didn't say that. The breaking point came 3 weeks ago. We were pitching for the Grandview municipal contract, a massive deal worth $2.3 million over 3 years. I'd spent 4 months preparing that pitch. Research, data analysis, risk assessment. I knew that proposal better than I knew my own reflection. The day before the presentation, I'd saved all the files to our shared drive, backup copies, slide deck, appendices, everything. Standard procedure. The morning of the pitch, I arrived at the office at a.m. The presentation was at 10. I wanted to run through it one more time. Make sure every transition was smooth, every number was airtight. I opened the shared drive. The file was gone. Not misplaced. Not renamed. Gone. I felt my stomach drop. I checked my email, checked my desktop, checked every backup location I could think of. Nothing. And then I saw it. A new file. Uploaded at 11:47 p.m. the night before. Grandview pitch final Natalie edit. PTX I opened it. She changed everything. The formatting was a mess, random fonts, misaligned graphics, colors that didn't match our brand guidelines. But worse than the aesthetics were the changes to the content. She'd removed half of my financial projections, added fluffy language about synergy and innovative solutions, and included 3 slides about our company's commitment to diversity and sustainability, topics that were fine in theory but completely irrelevant to a municipal sewage infrastructure project. She'd butchered it. Completely, thoroughly butchered it. I called her 6 times. No answer. I called my father. He picked up on the second ring. Sophia, it's 6:30 in the morning. Did you tell Natalie she could edit the Grandview pitch? A pause. She mentioned she had some ideas to make it more modern, more engaging. Modern? My voice was shaking. Dad, she deleted half the financial analysis. The entire risk mitigation section is gone. This isn't modern. This is incompetent. Sophia. His voice got that warning edge. She was trying to help. She sabotaged for months of work. Don't be dramatic. You have time to fix it. The presentation is in 3.5 hours. Then you'd better get started. He hung up. I sat there in my office, in the dark, staring at that butchered presentation on my screen. And something in me cracked. I spent the next 3 hours reconstructing what I could. I pulled data from old emails, rewrote sections from memory, fixed the formatting. By the time we left for the pitch, I had something presentable. Not perfect, but presentable. We didn't get the contract. The Grandview board said our presentation lacked the depth they were expecting. They went with Kellerman and Associates instead. Our biggest competitor. 2-3 million. Gone. I walked into my father's office that afternoon. Natalie was already there, sitting in the chair across from his desk, looking confused and a little teary. Dad, I said, my voice flat. We need to talk about what happened with Grandview. He held up a hand. I know you're upset about losing the contract, but I'm upset because Natalie destroyed a pitch I spent 4 months preparing. Natalie's eyes widened. I didn't destroy anything. I was just trying to make it better. You made it worse. Objectively, measurably worse. And we lost a $2.3 million contract because of it. That's not fair. Natalie's voice went high and shaky. You don't know that's why we lost it. Maybe your pitch just wasn't good enough. I turned to her slowly. Wasn't good enough. Yeah. Like, maybe you're just, I don't know, too rigid. Too corporate. They probably wanted something more creative, more human. And you're just like this. Robot. I felt something cold and hard settle in my chest. Natalie, I said quietly, you've been here 6 months. You've missed 17 deadlines. You've contributed exactly 0 billable hours. You don't understand how contracts work, how clients work, or how this business works. And you just cost us the biggest pitch of the year because you thought you could do my job better than me. She burst into tears. Actual, sobbing tears. The kind that make your mascara run and your shoulders shake. Sophia, that's enough, my father said sharply. No, it's not enough. She needs to hear this. She needs to understand that this isn't a game, and this company isn't. I said that's enough. He stood up, his face red. Natalie is your sister. She's family, and she's trying her best. Her best isn't good enough. Patricia appeared in the doorway then, summoned by the sound of her daughter's crying. She rushed to Natalie's side, wrapping her arms around her. What did you say to her? Patricia demanded, glaring at me. The truth. You're a bully, Sophia. You've always been a bully. I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm a bully because I expect professional competence in a professional setting. You're a bully because you can't stand that someone else might be good at something you're not. What exactly is she good at, Patricia? Please, enlighten me. She's good with people. She's warm. She's kind. She makes people feel valued, something you've never learned how to do. And that's when my father stepped in. Both of you. Stop. He looked at me. Sophia, you're out of line. Natalie made a mistake. Yes, but you don't talk to family like that. You don't humiliate them. I'm not humiliating her. I'm holding her accountable. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. "You're suspended," he said, "until you apologize to your sister, until you can treat her with the respect she deserves." The room went silent. I looked at Natalie, still crying in Patricia's arms. I looked at my father, his jaw set, his eyes hard. I looked at Patricia, triumphant behind her concern, and I realized I'd already lost. This wasn't about the pitch. This wasn't about competence or accountability or business. This was about family. And in this family, I would always be the outsider. The too serious daughter from the first marriage. The one who reminded my father of a life he'd left behind. "All right," I said. I walked out of that office, packed up my desk in silence while the entire floor pretended not to watch. My framed Wharton diploma, my industry awards, the photo of me and my father at the company's 20th anniversary gala, both of us grinning, his arm around my shoulders. I left that photo face down on the desk. I drove home to my apartment, a sleek one-bedroom in the financial district that I'd bought with my first big bonus. I poured myself a glass of wine. I sat on my couch as the sun set over the city, and I smiled, because they thought suspension was a punishment. They thought I'd come crawling back in a few days, apologize to Natalie, beg for my job back. They didn't know me at all. I pulled out my laptop, logged into my personal email, and I started writing. The next morning, I woke up at a a.m. Old habits die hard. I made coffee, did yoga, showered, put on my favorite suit, charcoal gray, fitted, powerful. Then I drove to the office. I still had my key card. They hadn't thought to deactivate it yet. The building was empty at 6:15 a.m. Just the night security guard, who waved me through without question. I took the elevator to the 7th floor, walked down the silent hallway, and let myself into my father's office. I didn't sit in his chair. That felt too theatrical. Instead, I stood at his desk and pulled out a flash drive from my purse. For 3 years, I'd been the one managing our contracts, reviewing them, signing off on them. I knew where every potential issue was buried, every clause that was worded just vaguely enough to be exploitable, every client relationship that was held together by my personal rapport more than any contractual obligation, and I'd been keeping records, not because I ever planned to use them, but because I was good at my job, and good employees keep documentation, emails, memos, client communications, financial discrepancies. That time my father approved a contract without legal review because he had a good feeling about the client. The project Natalie had been assigned to but never actually completed, while I did her work and she took the credit. Patricia's sister's catering company getting our holiday party contract despite being 30% more expensive than competitors. Nothing illegal. That wasn't my father's style, and it wasn't mine either. But plenty of things that were questionable, ethically gray, the kind of things that would make clients uncomfortable, that would make shareholders ask questions, that would make the board of directors wonder about oversight and governance. I uploaded everything to the shared drive. Every document, every email chain. I organized it into neat folders labeled clearly. I even created a summary document, outlining key concerns with page references. Then I went one step further. I logged into my business email still active, because they'd suspended me but hadn't officially terminated me, and I sent a message to our 3 largest clients. The subject line read, "Important information regarding your contract." The message was professional, courteous, concerned. "Dear client, I'm reaching out to inform you of some recent changes at Martinez and Associates that may impact your ongoing contract. As you may know, I've stepped back from my role as Director of Operations, and there have been several organizational shifts that I believe warrant your attention. In the interest of transparency in our long-standing professional relationship, I've compiled some documentation that may be relevant to your contract review process. Please find these materials in the attached link. I trust you'll review these materials carefully and make whatever decisions you feel are in your organization's best interest. Best regards, Sophia Martinez. Hit send on all 3 emails. Then I walked out of the building, drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away, and waited. My phone started ringing at 8:47 a.m. My father. I didn't answer. He called again, and again, and again. At 9:23 a.m., I got a text from Patricia. "What did you do?" At 9:41 a.m., The company's lawyer, Richard Bloom, called me. I answered that one. Sophia. He sounded breathless, panicked. Tell me you didn't post those files. Good morning, Richard. How are you? Sophia. This isn't funny. Do you have any idea what you've done? I provided relevant information to our clients. I thought transparency was important. You violated your NDA. You breached confidentiality. You actually, Richard, if you review my employment contract, you'll see that I signed a standard NDA regarding client proprietary information and trade secrets. None of the documents I shared contain client proprietary information. They're all internal company documents that I, as Director of Operations, had every right to access and that arguably should have been disclosed to clients as material information affecting their contracts. Silence. You planned this, he said finally. I documented my work. That's not the same thing. Vincent wants to see you. Now. I'm suspended, remember? I'm not allowed in the office. Sophia, I hung up. I ordered another coffee. Checked my email. One of the clients had already responded, requesting an emergency meeting with the board of directors. Another had CC'd their legal team, asking for clarification on several of the documents I'd shared. At 11:15 a.m., Natalie called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello? What is wrong with you? Her voice was shrill, hysterical. Do you hate me that much? Do you hate Dad that much? I don't hate anyone, Natalie. You're destroying the company. You're destroying everything Dad built. Why? Because I made one little mistake? It wasn't one mistake. And this isn't about you. Then what is it about? I paused, stared out the window at the people rushing past. All those people with jobs and families and lives that weren't falling apart at 11:15 on a Tuesday morning. It's about being seen, I said quietly. For 3 years, I held that company together. I worked weekends. I skipped holidays. I turned down job offers from competitors because I believed in what we were building. And the second I pushed back, the second I refused to apologize for someone else's incompetence, I get suspended. Not you. Me. Because you were mean to me. No, Natalie. Because I told the truth, and the truth made you uncomfortable. And in our family, your comfort matters more than my competence. She was crying now. Again. Always crying. I'm telling Dad what you said. Go ahead. He'll believe whatever makes this easier for him to process. That's what he does. I hung up. At 2:34 p.m. I got an email from the board of directors. They were requesting my presence at an emergency meeting scheduled for p.m. that afternoon. In light of recent developments, my suspension was temporarily lifted for the purposes of providing testimony. I smiled. I showed up at 3:55 p.m. wearing my best dress and carrying a leather portfolio. The boardroom was on the 8th floor, glass walls, long table, uncomfortable chairs designed to keep meetings short. My father was already there. So was Richard. So were all 7 board members, including 2 external directors who I'd only met a handful of times. Patricia and Natalie were not invited. This was business. Sophia, my father said as I walked in. His voice was hoarse. He looked like he'd aged 5 years since yesterday. Please, sit down. I sat, folded my hands on the table, waited. Linda Zhao, the board chair, cleared her throat. Miss Martinez, thank you for joining us. I trust you understand why we've called this meeting. I do. Can you walk us through your decision to share internal company documents with our clients? Of course. I opened my portfolio, pulled out a printed copy of the summary document I'd created. Over the past 6 months, I've observed a pattern of decisions that I believe constitute material information that should have been disclosed to clients under the terms of their contracts. These decisions include, but are not limited to, hiring practices that prioritize personal relationships over qualifications, contract approvals made without proper legal review, and the reassignment of key projects to less experienced staff without client notification. You're talking about Natalie, my father said, flatly. I'm talking about a systemic issue with governance and oversight. This is revenge, he said. Pure revenge. You're angry because I suspended you, so you're trying to destroy the company. If the company can be destroyed by clients learning the truth about how it operates, then perhaps the company deserves to be destroyed. The room went very quiet. James Reeves, one of the external directors, leaned forward. Miss Martinez, are you alleging that there has been fraudulent or illegal activity? No, I am alleging that there has been negligent and unprofessional activity that violates the spirit, if not the letter, of our client contracts. I'm alleging that this company has prioritized family comfort over client service. And I'm alleging that when I attempted to address these issues internally, I was punished. My father's face was red. You were punished because you verbally attacked your sister. I held her accountable for a mistake that cost us $2.3 million. She's 24 years old. She's learning. Then she should be learning in an entry-level position at a different company. Not here. Not in a role where her mistakes cost us clients and reputation. Linda held up a hand. Let's take a step back. Mr. Martinez, you hired your daughter, Natalie, 6 months ago. Is that correct? Yes. And what were her qualifications for the role? He hesitated. She has a degree in communications. She's bright, personable. I saw potential, but no direct experience in consulting or operations. No, and Miss Sophia Martinez, as Director of Operations, did you have any input in this hiring decision? No, I said. I was informed after the fact, and in the 6 months since Miss Natalie Martinez was hired. How would you characterize her performance? I could have been cruel. Could have listed every mistake, every missed deadline, every client meeting she'd fumbled. Instead, I said simply, inadequate. And I documented my concerns in multiple emails to Mr. Martinez, all of which were dismissed. Linda looked at my father. Vincent, do you have those emails? I'd need to check. Check now, please. He pulled out his phone, scrolled. His face went pale. I found them, he said quietly. How many? 12. Over 5 months. And did you respond to any of them? I told Sophia to be patient. That Natalie needed time to adjust. Did you implement any performance improvement plans? Any additional training? Any reassignment of duties? No, Linda sat back. So your daughter raised consistent, documented concerns about an employee's performance, an employee who happens to be your other daughter and your wife's child, and you took no corrective action. Then, when your Director of Operations confronted the employee about a significant mistake, you suspended her when she attacked Natalie. Yes, Mr. Martinez. Did you witness this alleged attack? No, but Natalie told me. So you suspended your Director of Operations based on a complaint from an underperforming employee without conducting any investigation or hearing Miss Sophia Martinez's side of the story. My father opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Natalie was crying. She was devastated. I had to protect her. You had to protect the company, Linda said sharply. That's your job as CEO, not to protect one employee's feelings at the expense of another employee's career and the company's well-being. The meeting lasted another 90 minutes. They asked me detailed questions about the documents I'd shared, about client relationships, about operational concerns. I answered every single one honestly, thoroughly, and without emotion. At 6:47 p.m., Linda called for a private session with just the board members. I was asked to wait outside. I sat in the hallway for 43 minutes, watched the sun set through the floor-to-ceiling windows, checked my email. One of the clients had formally requested contract renegotiation. Another was suspending work pending review. The conference room door opened. Sophia, Linda said, please come back in. I walked in. My father was still sitting at the table, but he looked smaller now, defeated. We've made some decisions, Linda said. Effective immediately, Vincent Martinez is taking a leave of absence from his role as CEO while the board conducts a full governance review. Sophia, your suspension is lifted, and you're reinstated as Director of Operations with a formal apology from the company for the improper handling of your employment concerns. I blinked. Thank you. We're also implementing new hiring and nepotism policies to prevent future conflicts of interest. And we're requiring that Natalie Martinez either move to a non-operational role with appropriate supervision or transition out of the company. I looked at my father. He was staring at the table. Dad, I said softly. He didn't look up. I left the building at 7:30 p.m. The city was dark now, lights glittering in every direction. I sat in my car for a long time, hands on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Natalie. I hope you're happy. Dad's barely speaking. Patricia is threatening to leave him. You got what you wanted." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "I didn't want this. I wanted to be seen. I wanted my work to matter. I wanted the same standards to apply to everyone. That's all I ever wanted." She never responded. 3 weeks later, Natalie resigned. She moved to Austin with her boyfriend and started a lifestyle blog. Last I heard, she had 40,000 followers and a sponsorship deal with a wellness tea company. Patricia did leave eventually. Not officially divorced, but they live in separate homes now. She got the house in Montauk. My father kept the apartment in the city. My father and I don't talk much these days. He came back as CEO after the review, but something changed between us. Some fracture that I don't think will ever fully heal. We're professional at work, cordial at holidays, but we're not the team we used to be. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, if there was a better way, a kinder way. But then I remember sitting in that burgundy chair, being told I was suspended for holding someone accountable, being told that family loyalty mattered more than professional integrity, being told that my years of work, my sacrifices, my competence, all meant less than Natalie's tears, and I know that I made the only choice I could live with. They thought I'd apologize. They thought I'd come back quiet and grateful and compliant. They forgot who raised me. My father taught me to value excellence, to demand accountability, to never settle for less than I was worth. He just didn't realize I'd apply those lessons to him. The company survived. We rebuilt client relationships. We implemented better governance. We even hired 3 new consultants, landed 2 major contracts, expanded into a new market. And me? I'm still here. Still working 70-hour weeks. Still the one who knows every client file by heart. But I'm also the one who proved that I wasn't afraid to burn it all down if that's what it took to be seen. They'll never forget that again. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels.